What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers. Join me here today to talk about the Mississippi State Bulldogs 2024 team preview is my guy from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, Jay McLovin. Jay, how you doing this afternoon, my friend? And what do you think about Mississippi State? A lot of interesting players, obviously, brand new quarterback in this system. So how's this team going to fare in 2024, my friend?
Yeah, Mississippi State – amongst the other schools that we're going to talk about, really does intrigue me on a lot of different areas. Look, if you look at the schedule, I look at the most notable games for these guys being Florida, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Those I think are going to be their toughest games. Not to say that any of the other ones won't be because of the makeup of this team, but those right there really are their most dominant matchups. You look at the coaches poll, and it has them out of the top 25, Logan. They're not even in the top 25. However, some people have them ranked to finish at number 15. I'm not one of those people, but some people have them ranked at number 15. I think being out of the top 25 and finishing out of the top 25, for me, if I was a betting man, is the more realistic approach for this team. You look at the team itself. College Football Network has wide receiver. I'm gonna say this guy's name wrong. I don't know if they're going to Serbia or where they're going to get these people's names. But holy crap! You got College Football Network has wide receiver Kelly Akarale. I'm just gonna spell it. It's Akharaiyi, something like that.
That's it. That's how. If you were in a spelling bee, you'd pass on to the next round.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. If they ever ask some kid that name, they're not gonna get that correct.
That's one of those where you ask if you can use it in a sentence and language of origin and all that. But yeah, I will say you got the spelling right, my friend. Congrats.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. If I'm the announcer for whatever team
you're going with the number,
this guy Mississippi NFL, even if I'm Mississippi State, if I'm the announcer, I'm just gonna say Kelly A, wide receiver Kelly.
And I will say it's taken us how many years to get Giannis's name right in basketball? Forever. Man. I'm about to say it can still cause fits if you're not careful with it. But anyways,
I really believe that this guy. I really believe Kelly's last name is harder than Giannis's. I can at least kind of sort of get that right. This one right here, there's so many vowels and consonants next to each other. It's ridiculous. Anyway, long story short, but anyway, so he's the first one that they have as the All SEC preseason All-American or All SEC preseason team. The other one is offensive lineman Ethan Minor. He's and both of these guys, by the way, are transfers, and both of these guys are predicted to be All SEC. We'll see. I mean, predictions are about a dime a dozen. Yeah. The good news for these guys, I think they got a fairly good coach coming in now. They got new head coach Jeff Lebby, and really, honestly, Jeff Lebby has pretty much built this entire team that you see before you. I mean, through a lot, mainly through the transfer portal and through commits. But this really kind of is his team stepping out now. They need to retool on both sides of the ball, which hopefully they've been able to do that successfully through the portal and whatnot. But definitely on both sides, both sides need a retooling. Former coach Mike Leach, by the way, rest in peace, passed away back in 2022. Had a fairly good season there. But then, when he passed away, defensive coordinator Zach Arnett took over. And then when he took over, they went 5-7 and was pretty much fired at that point. And then, obviously, that's when Jeff Lebby steps in and then takes over currently. Yeah. So, they've had a really rough go of it. They only have 3 returning players coming back, Logan. That gives you an idea how bad this team got gutted out. They only got 3 returning guys. They got one on I believe one on the offense, one on the defense, and then one special teamer. I mean, that's pretty much what they got. If you look at their 2023 season, like I said, they were 5-7, and they were 1-7 in the SEC, and they were tied for 6th in the West. Now, obviously, the SEC has gotten away from those divisions, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that shapes up going forward. But quarterback Blake Shapen is going to be the starter for this team. He came out of Baylor. I think Lebby was tied to him at Baylor, and when he took over the offense last year, he brought him in. So he was fourth, and that guy was actually 4th in the country last year, Blake Shapen, in terms of performance. So I think he's got a good guy taking over the helm. to start this retool. The defense has been pretty much pieced together. Their best player on defense is DeMonte Russell. He's got 24 tackles and a sack. I mean, that's like your best guy, right? That you have on the team. Now, obviously, you're not really going to know what you have in these transfers until they take the field and then you see what you got. But for right now, he's their best guy. Safety Corey Ellington is the best player of the team that's returning. And what I really meant to say was Russell's the best guy on the defense. Corey Ellington is the best player that they have returning, period. The roster is full of transfers, like I said, and prospects. The key to the success for this team, I think, is they got to get their passing game adjusted quickly, and they got to get it done right away to figure this. Otherwise, that passing game is going to get obliterated. So number one, you get a new quarterback, you got a new offensive line, you got weapons. They're going to have to get this passing game done relatively quickly if they want to survive in the SEC. Let's put it that way. The key player, like I said, is going to be Shapen, and the reason why is he's in charge of the team. Team of nobodies, and so you got to think he's going to be the key player. He's not a big guy, Logan. But he does have 5,600 yards last year, 36 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So he automatically puts them in a good light. However, in a comment, this guy isn't in the SEC or playing in the SEC either. So I want to keep that a little bit in somewhat perspective. Mississippi State's quarterback last year was giving you 6.3 yards to throw. Shapen last year was doing 7.5. So he does give you a little bit better distance on his throwing. Ethan Minor is their top prospect, and he's a center. So thank God their top prospect, at least on the O-line. He's not coming into the best situation, but this is probably the best he's going to find, right? And he's not the best player that they could have gotten, but he's the best player in the transfer portal. So take that as much with it as you will. The key game, I think, for this team is Florida, not just because it's the first team, but honestly, this is going to be the first test to see what we can expect out of Mississippi State as they go forward into the season. I already told you all the teams they got to go up against. So, if you struggle against Florida, you're damn sure going to struggle the rest of the season. So that really is going to be the first indicator of how well Jeff Lebby's new team is faring, or going to fare for the season, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think their gimme wins is going to be Eastern Kentucky and UMass. I think their 50-50 chance wins are going to be Arizona State, Arkansas, Florida, Missouri, Texas A&M, Toledo, and Ole Miss. And I think pretty much their guaranteed losses is going to be Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas.
Yeah.
So take that for what it will. What I take from all of that is you got a brand new team coming out full of a bunch of nobodies, and you got a good coach. You got a somewhat semi-proven quarterback, even though he's playing with Baylor and not necessarily against some of the tougher teams. So take from that as you will, Logan. I have no high expectations for this team. I don't know how they got them projected to finish in the 15. What I think being out of the top 25 is a more realistic expectation for this team to finish. I'll give them 5. I'll give them 4 to 5 wins.
Yeah. Yeah, when I look at Mississippi State, I'd say they're one of the most just intriguing teams, right? Because they lost a lot of pieces, like as you brought up, but they're also bringing over Jeff Lebby, who is an offensive guru, it seems, right? We saw the work he did with Ole Miss a couple of seasons ago, and then obviously last year, the work he did with Oklahoma, making them one of the top offenses in the league. Not just top, whatever, I mean like top 10. And he is consistent at doing that, which means he has a nose, Jay, for how to make football great in terms of passing, in terms of rushing. He has an eye for it. We'll see how he does as head coach here at Mississippi State. As you mentioned, quarterback Will Rogers is shaped out. He has went to the Washington Huskies. So, as he said, in steps in Blake Shapen, who's done some solid work, right, at Baylor. He's done some good work overall, and we'll see just how he can fare, with this team. Like I said, throughout his tenure in 3 seasons, 5,600 plus yards, 36 TDs as well. So he's got some good pieces, but this team has really just been beaten up, as you said, man. Beaten up from the transfer portal. My God, they've lost a lot of talent, which is unfortunate. As you said, I mean, you've got Jordan Mosley coming back, but a bunch of the other guys, we'll see. It's unproven, right? The guys who were coming over, like you said, with Kelly and also Kevin Coleman, both those guys coming over from different schools trying to help out. And I think this is a perfect time, Jay, for the transfer portal for this team, because this is, I mean, if it wasn't, then I'd be scared to see what this team's going to do, because it would have a lot of unproven guys that were just on the depth chart. But with the transfer portal, I think it's easier just in general for teams to kind of rebuild now and get back in better shape. But, I mean, when you look at this team, like you said, their O-line, I mean, you got 4 starters coming in, Jay, through the transfer portal. I mean, that's going to be tough to gel with the O-line. I mean, we've talked about teams before that they have a lot of, juniors and seniors on the team that have been there for years. And, I mean, they're one of the best. They're some of the best in the country. But I'm scared to see what 4 brand new guys are going to do in terms of just how they're going to get quick and get accustomed with each other. So we'll see how that goes. Groundwork in terms of your running backs, unproven, right? Jeffrey Pittman's been there for a minute. He's a vet, but I mean, you got guys like Kevon Lee's coming over from Penn State, and also Devon Booth. So got some good guys in the backfield, but we'll see. And then, like I said, it's all about what Shaping can do. But the defense, Jay, that might be a little bit more of a stronger point, I say, because they got some talent. Like you said, Corey Ellington, he's an absolute baller. I like the way he's playing. You've also got some good players like Isaac Smith coming into his first year, JUCO transfer, Braylon Lanier. So that'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, you got Montre Miller coming on over from West Virginia to help out in your corner situation. I think the linebackers would be fine. Stone Blanton, you're getting over from South Carolina. He's going to be a good player, I think. J.P. Purvis as well, helping out with John Lewis. Those are some of your linebackers on this team. But when you look at their strong tackles, right, Nathan Pickering, Jaden Crumity, they ain't there, right? They remain stays. But now you've got guys like Kedrick Bingley-Jones. He's coming over from North Carolina. Same with Solomon Kapaka. He's coming over from Purdue, and also Travion Williams. See how they can do on that strong tackle side. But, I mean, I think for me it'll take a while. And that's like you said, against Florida, I think that's a good proving ground when you look at that. Because they're not the top dogs, but they're also not a bottom feeder, right? They're middle of the ground. If you want to see what we said about Florida, we did a video on it a while ago on our channel. But so I think overall, like you said, they've got some good players. Thank God for the transfer portal. I'm excited to see how Jeff Lebby's going to do as a head coach with this team. But for me, they're not proven. They've got a lot of question marks around them. And I just don't know how much success they're going to have in year one. So, I'm with you, Jay. I think I'll go around anywhere from 4 to 6 wins. I think they'll beat the teams that they obviously should beat. I don't think that'll be a question. But against some of the tougher matchups and even ones that you can kind of toss up, I don't know how this team's going to do. But I do have some faith, though. I think Jeff Lebby will see what he can do. Like I said, he's proven it offensively, but now it's a full team. Now you got to do it on both ends, and we'll see what Mississippi State can do. Jay, what you got? One more, my friend.
I just really had a question for you. And I was just thinking about this as we were talking about this Mississippi State team and Jeff Lebby. And like I said, you got 3 returners and you got pretty much everybody else as a transfer or a commit. So my theory is, obviously, this is clearly a rebuild team. How long does Mississippi State give him to get back on point and in the top, let's say top 15, rather than being out of the top 25? How long do you think they give him before they put him on the hot seat?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. So obviously we know this is coming into his first year. And when you look at how this team has kind of been going in recent years, Jay, I mean, they haven't had a 10-win team since 2014. Their last good record was in 22 when they went 9-4. Right. They went 7-6 the year before, but 9-4, I would say that's overall a really good year. Because last year, like I said, they went 5-7. I could easily see them getting that record, if not, maybe 1 or 2 wins either direction, you could say. But I would give Jeff. And that's the thing, is coaches get fired way too quick, I think, in just sports in general. But I think they'll give him a couple of seasons, maybe 3. I say if you come out the gates, kind of like how we're expecting, you're not going to set the world on fire. This is fine. That's not a problem. As long as the offense looks good. If the offense dips off tremendously, that might be a different question for a different day. But I think that year one, kind of iffy. I think, year two, just looking way ahead, just my prediction, I think they'll gradually get better. I don't know if there's going to be a sharp increase, just from one year to another. So I like to say about 3 years or so to really see what this team's about, because I think that they'll be solid. I don't think they'll be great quite yet, but I think that he'll do enough to warrant at least a couple of years out there in Mississippi.
Because I think he is going to. I have no doubts about his experience and his qualifications. We all know how good Jeff Lebby is.
Yes.
I just wonder. My biggest thing with Mississippi State is, like you said, I mean, and this year will really be the telltale, because if they made the right selections in the transfer portal, if they can develop the guys in the transfer portal as well as the guys that they got in the recruiting class, if Jeff Lebby can get these guys dialed in, then okay, great. I see them flourishing. If they come out and they don't have a good season, let's say they only get 4 wins or 5 wins, but look, this is the SEC.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got even tougher.
Logan, I got to be honest with you. We only got 3 returning starters. There's just no way to know which way this team could go. They could come out and be great, or they could come out and shit the bed. And my thing is that they come out and have a crappy season, and they're just not what they thought they could do, or they weren't able to develop them where they needed to be. Then how's that going to line them up going forward in recruiting classes?
Yeah,
because if you can't get good recruiting classes, I don't see Mississippi State going anywhere, at least not anywhere anytime soon. And I just don't know. This could be a nail in Levy's coffin if he can't develop this team good enough to get a good recruiting class next year. I mean, he's got to get at least a top 10 recruiting class.
Yeah, and we'll see. They signed him to a 4-year deal, around $4.5 million. So we'll see if he lives out that contract. But I think year one, I think we'll see some highlights, some lowlights. But hey, that's just how the game goes sometimes. Jay, I appreciate you coming on the show, my friend. I've been your host, producer, Logan Landers. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you on another